this operation with bar notation again, multiplication and division. So let's go to work. Yeah. Now in we also in anything arithmetic that's to do with addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. As we did for addition and subtraction, we have to do it for multiplication and division. So what are the likely questions you may find under operation with bar notation involving multiplication? Let's do multiplication first. Let's assume you are given some, let's say you have to multiply, let's say bar 2.6 times, let's say times 3. Now what I do advise my students to do is that, you see this 3 that you are multiplying with, you can bring it outside, open a bracket. This 2 that is standing alone, bring it here, the whole number, then plus, put plus, in between this thing, put plus. So this 0.6 means 0.6. If I have 0.5, means 0.5. If I give you 0.023, it means 0.023. Just assume it's like that. So this 0.6 means 0.6. But if you want to multiply it directly, no problem. Now 3 times minus 2, it's what? It is what? It is bar 6, right? Plus, now 3 times 0.6, I think that should be what? 1.8. That is 1.8. So you can add this in together. So you can have minus 6 bar 6.0. You know, for plus, doesn't care. 1.8. So when you add them up, 0 plus 8 is what? Is 8. Bar 6 plus 1, that is what? By what? By 5. We did this earlier. So it means my answer here, my final answer here is what? Bar 5 point what? 0.8. So let's look at another question. Let's look at another question. Now let's assume you are given another one like this. Let's say you have bar okay, let's say you have bar 4.3 times what? Times 2. Now you want to multiply this. The same thing, you bring the 2 outside. The 2 you are using to multiply. You open a bracket, this bar 4, you put it like this, plus, then you have what? 0.3, right? Check and right. So bar 2 times bar 4, that is bar 8. That's just like 2 times 4, that is 8, plus 2 times 0.3, that should give us 0.6. So in addition, I told you it doesn't care. There is bar what? Bar 8 point what? 0.0 plus 0.6. So that should give us what? Bar 8.6. So it means final answer here is what? Bar 8.6. Now let's move to another. Let me do one more example. Let's do one more example. Sorry for this. Okay, one more example. Okay, still. Now let's assume you give another one like this. Let's say you have bar 2.6 times what? Times 4. Now the same thing you do here, you bring the 4 outside, you open a bracket, so that is bar 2, right? Plus that about 0.6. You close the bracket. 4 times bar 2 is what? That is bar 8, plus 4 times 0.6, I think that should be 2.4. Yeah, that's 2.4 if I'm not mistaken. Now to add this together, you have bar what? Bar 8.0 plus 2.4. So you can add them up. 0 plus 4 is 4. So minus 8 plus 2, that will give us minus 6 points. So my answer here should give me bar 6.4. So that is it. So let's now move to division. Let's assume you're given something like this. They ask you that you should divide this bar 6.9 divided by 3. So how do you go about it? The same thing you do here. You are going to divide now. So you bring this 3 outside. This 3 you are using to divide it, divided by, you open a bracket. So I told you earlier, this bar 6, let it stand alone, plus, then 0. That's this is what? 0.9. So you cannot divide this now. So 3 divided by 6, it is what? It is what? Bar what? Bar 2, right? Plus 0.9 divided by 3, that's to give us 0.3. 0.3. So when you add this thing together, you should get, so your final answer here, you should get, which is here, you should get what? Minus 2, bar 2 plus 0. That should equals what? Bar 2.3. Like the way I solved all this, you can solve it like that also. Now let's check another one. Let's assume you are giving something like this. What if you are giving something like this? You are giving let me do another example for this. I'm trying to check some question. Okay, let's assume we are giving something like this. You have 6.8 by 6.8 divided by 2. The same thing you do, you bring the 2 outside, division, you are dividing, you open a bracket, so this bar 6 will stand alone, then plus 0.8, right? So you close the bracket. So 2 divided by 6, that is 3, that is bar 3, plus 2 divided by 0.8, that is 0.4. So when you add them up together, you get bar 3 point what? 0.4. So that is your final answer for this one. So I want you to try, there's a question, another one under this under this minus. It's not as simple as you think it is. So let's look at the complex part here that you will likely find. Complex part. Now let's assume you are given something like this. They give something like this. Say you should do this. 4.7 by 4.7 divided by 3. Divided by 3. Now you have to divide this. How do you go about this? Now, I told you earlier you will do something like that. 3 divided by, so you are going to split it, right? 4 plus 0.7, right? This is what you are going to do, by 4. Now, but this 3 cannot divide this 4. You have to consider the first number, this whole number, this negative, you have to consider it. So, since 3 cannot divide 4, you always have a decimal point. So, you have to find a way that what number are you going to add to this one that 3 will be able to divide it with that remainder. So, if I add minus 2 to this thing, it's to give me minus 6. Do you get what I'm doing there? If I add minus 2 to this minus 4, it will give me minus 6. So 3 can divide minus 6. So anything I add here, I must add the positive here. It means here, I'm adding minus 2 here. So the same minus 2, I have to, the inverse of it, that is plus 2. I say the inverse, the opposite of this minus 2, that's to be plus 2. So if I add minus 2 here, I have to add plus 2 here. Because minus 2 plus 2 is still 0. It means I'm not adding anything, but for clarity's sake, I'm adding minus 2 here, I'll add plus 2 here. So what I will get now, I will have 3 divided by, so minus 4 minus 2, I will get by 6 plus, now 2 plus 0.7, I should get 2.7, 2.7, then close bracket. So you cannot divide now. 3 divided by 6, that should give us what? By 2, right? Plus 3 divided by 2.7, I think that should give us 0.9, if I'm not mistaken, 0.9. So when you add them up together, you get bar 2.9. So this is your final answer. So let's check another one under this particular one. Let's assume you have another one again. Let's say they say 5. Let's say you have okay, you have bar 2. Okay. So let's say you have bar 3.2 divided by 4. So what are you going to do? The same thing here, 4 divided by, so you open a bracket, this is going to be what? Bar 3, right? Plus 0.2. So what are you going to do here? Now what you are going to do here is that I will find a way to make this one also what to be, so that it will be divisible by this 4. So if I add minus 1 here, I'll get minus 4. So I'll add plus 1 here. Do you get that now? So that this 4 can be able to divide this one. So I will now have 4 divided by, so minus 1 minus 3 will give me what? Bar 4 plus 1 plus 0.2 will give me 1.2, if I'm not mistaken. So 4 divided by bar 4, it should give me what? Bar 1 plus 4 divided by 1.2. That should give me 0 0.3. Yes, 0 0.3. So my final answer, if I add this together, my final answer will be what? Bar 1.3. So that is that for that. Let's take one more under this one. Let's take one more. Let's assume you're having let's give you something like this. Let's say you have bar 5.8 divided by 3. So how do you go about this? So the same thing I'm going to do, you mean 3 outside divided by, so you open a bracket, this is going to be what? Bar 5, as I said earlier, plus what? Plus this one here, 0 0.8. This is what you do. Now what you're going to do is that if I want to do this thing, I can add minus 1 here. I think, haven't I done this? Let me check. Okay, we haven't. Sorry, we haven't. So to make this one be able to, this is 5. To make it divisible by 3, I have to add minus 1 here. Then also I have to add plus 1 here. So that to be anything you add here, you must also, the opposite of it must put it there. So this will be 3 divided by, so minus 1 minus 5 is what? Is bar what? Bar 6 plus 1 plus 0 0.8, that's 1.8. So you close the bracket. 3 divided by 6, this is what? Bar 2 plus 1.8 divided by, that should give us 0 0.6 if I'm not mistaken. So this is answer, bar 2 plus 0 0.6. For those of you that may have forgotten, this is what I did. Just put 0.0 plus 0 0.6. So when you add them up, 0 plus 6 is 6 points. So bar 2 plus 0 is bar 2. So it means my answer here is what? Bar 2.6. So that is the final answer here. Guess you understand this. You can try some questions in your New General Mathematics or Essential textbook. You will get it right, believe me. So we'll move on to the next one.